Okay, Pasa Mufasa, what's up, everybody? We've got Rob from Healing Herbal in the house, and we're going to
Yep.
talk about canna infused products today and a bunch of other stuff. So, what's up, Rob? Welcome to the Mycopreneur podcast.
What's going on, bro? Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it greatly. Hope all's been
Well,
well your
first
way.
things first, I'm gonna try out some of this canna that you've sent me. I've already tried it in a social
All right.
setting in Miami, and I quite enjoyed it. So,
Oh,
having
awesome.
the latitude to do such things here on the podcast, that was just one hit from the nasal infusal here. That was just one hit. So that's what you had recommended. So let's start off talking about dosage. If someone's new to
Yeah.
canna, like myself, I like to start low and go slow, and always advise the same for people. What is a nice introductory dose where somebody's going to feel it, but it's not going to be too overwhelming? And what can we expect from this experience?
So Kana is typically taken. People can brew teas and stuff of it, but the most common form is the extract. So we infuse it into that nasal spray. Makes it very easy. The dosage on there is 10 to 30 milligrams per spray, which is a perfect dose for someone getting started into it. A lot of people do prefer intranasal use of it because it's a little bit more of a euphoric experience than, say, you do it orally. It could be a little more like of a euphoric caffeine. So, yeah, that 10 to 30 milligrams is perfect for intranasal. I apologize. I got my cats playing in the background right now. If you hear their ball going, oh, I'll pull it away if it becomes problematic, but they should be chilling out sooner than later. But yeah, 10 to 30 milligrams intranasally, half 0.05 to a zero point 0.1 orally is kind of the dose that we like it at.
Awesome. Yeah, I find it to be quite social. And as I mentioned, I tried it in Miami and it worked really well, but I did it right before I recorded a podcast. And I think I actually hit a few nasal fulls and then I was
On.
sneezing during the podcast. So far so good. So we'll see what happens. But
Good.
I've
Good.
also got my dog Rupert here. So we've got the animals, the pets
All
are in
right.
the house,
They're hanging out.
chilling. The vibes are immaculate. So, Rob, if you had told me 6 months ago that you were sending me canna products, I would have assumed you were using shorthand for cannabis. I had never heard of canna, as many people haven't, but it's really made headway onto the scene recently. And I've been seeing different brands and different canna products pop up. How long has canna been on your radar, and when did you start offering it with Healing Herbals?
So I'd say about like 4 to 6 years, maybe 7 years ago, I just started going deep on all the herbal supplements with effects, and trying them all out. Pine pollen, maca, ginseng, and Kana was one of the ones for me that had the most effective and unique properties than any I've dealt with. Probably about like I said, 5, 7 years ago. And then about like 3 years ago, I had a buddy of mine. He's like, I want to try it. I want to try it. Let me, and I'm like, all right. He's like, make a tincture, make this. And I did make stuff for my personal consumption that way, and he kind of convinced me to start just making product. He started hosting events, inviting me out, and then it just started taking off from there. All my friends came in supporting it, and we've been just promoting it since then. So, yeah, it's really a unique one. It's not too well known, but I'm sure we'll get into the conversation of this throughout the experiences that, we have Entheogenic Emporium as well as our sister company where we have just all the diverse, unique entheogen plants that are some not very well known, such as Kana, so.
Yeah, and that's a rather exciting arena overall because there's so many different types of entheogens or alkaloid containing plants, as you referenced, and a lot of them are still relatively unknown to the broader public, right? There's always going to be a little niche demographic of psychonauts who want to try everything. And it's pretty interesting that a lot of these are not scheduled, right? Like you think of the classic entheogens like ayahuasca and iboga peyote mushrooms, et cetera, et cetera. Most of those are scheduled substances under the Controlled Substances Act, right? But a lot of these other very powerful and potent entheogens, essentially, or one could just call them like a nice herbal supplement, right? Those somehow have managed to evade the Controlled Substances Act, which makes them legal for buying and selling online. And there's a robust trade, right? And you're probably not going to find them in too many smoke shops yet, but like an increasingly often you're going to be able to find these things. So, what are some of the other entheogens or alkaloid containing plants that aren't scheduled, which you are legally able to purvey with your entheogenic emporium shop?
I'm glad we kind of discussed this because this is a fascinating subject to me because some of them are really not too well known and have very unique properties. Some we're dabbling with a little bit is Sun Opener. It is this flower, and it's has unique properties where a lot of the reports online say it's like auditory hallucinations, right? That's kind of the main depiction of it. But once you try it and really explore it, you see that it's a very unique plant. It like brightens your vision. It like puts you in a bright mood, and it does have like auditory hallucinations. I thought it was going to be like people are hearing noises, but it's more like echoing and almost like the first time you smoke cannabis and music sounds heightened and you hear everything more like pronounced. So the sun opener is a very unique one in that property. We work with African Dream Bean, which is another very relaxing supplement that invokes your dreams. So you are more likely to have dreams and recall your dreams in the morning. So that's just some of the examples of the many that we have on the Emporium, the Entheogenic Emporium site. But um, every day trying to explore new herbs that come on my radar and try them out. So what was your experience, would you say, what you had with Kana? I'm quite curious to say, would you say it was mood boosting? Kana's a very unique one too. Works on different parts of the brain, so people have different reactions. Some are stimulated, some are relaxed. What would you say your experience is on it?
Yeah, when I had a fairly responsible amount as advised on the packaging, it was lovely. It was quite sociable. I'm already an extroverted person, and I was out and about doing interviews, and I was able to very effectively complete those while still enjoying myself. So, I have to try a substance a few times, I think, before I really sort of get a personal, before I can really report back on that. But I will say that I was impressed when I did, 3 or 4 nostril fulls, which I would advise anyone new to it probably go very slow. But it was very impactful. It was very noticeable, and in no sense was it overbearing. But I
Oh,
would
good.
not advise doing a
Yeah.
large macrodose of something before you have something else on your agenda. That was a day when I had not a lot going on, and this often happens when I have products on the shelf and I go, I really want to do a full send, like I want to feel that. So I'm still new to Kana, but I'm pleased to report that in my limited experiences with it, that it's been something that is quite mellow, quite enjoyable, and it
Good.
could be combined with a night out, right? It doesn't
Oh,
feel like, yeah, I think in fact that may be part of what it's intended for, is that, there's a sociability aspect to it.
I get a lot of nootropic type of energy from it too. Like I could use it in my morning drink as like a little bit of caffeine with a little bit of a mood boost. It helps me that way a lot too. But it's interesting because you had our MT55, so there are different types of Kana extracts because Kana has different active alkaloids in it, mesobrine, mesobromine, and stuff like that. And all these different alkaloids have slightly different properties. So some of them are a little bit more of that like 5-HTP receptor. Some are a little bit more like that Molly, and some are a little bit more of like a drunkeny type of feeling. So the one you had, the MT55, is like the standard one. It's a little bit of like overall pick me up, focus, and mood boost and stuff like that. I joined you actually today. I tried some VU3, which is a different form of extract that works a little bit more like mellow, relaxing, and could some people say that it kind of feels like they had a drink or so. Sometimes it gives you in a high enough dose like a drunk eyes type of feeling. It's a very unique plant. Like I said, most of these supplements are very light in effect, but Kana is one that is can be profound in effect at the right dose. So
I like
yeah.
to tiptoe into things, and bioassay is one word where you test a product on yourself and you take
Yep.
notes, and over a handful of experiences then I'll usually figure out like how well this is going to fit into my long-term game plan. As an example of that, I was very slow to warm up to Amanita muscaria, and I
Oh
had a
yeah.
number of Amanita products that people had given me, and I just had been very slow to want to actually kind of try them, and maybe I tiptoed in and I took a small amount. But in the last couple of weeks I've really started to embrace it and really started to use it.
Oh,
And another example of that is, which also is something available on your online store, are the blue lotus
oh
extracts,
yeah.
which I'm very curious about, but I've yet to actually have
Yeah.
any kind of meaningful experience. I think I've
Yeah.
probably hit a vape here or there and like titrated it a little bit. We're
Yeah.
like, okay, I can kind of feel this, but I have a whole bunch of it currently that I'm sort
Oh
of
yeah.
waiting for the right moment to dip into. So can you? That's, I believe, one of the offerings that you have on the store. Can you speak a little bit about blue lotus extract?
Exactly. So Blue Lotus is really nice too. That one's kind of reminds me of like indica cannabis. It's just a relaxing, mellow bedtime, chilling you out. People in high doses have kind of like a psychoactive effect too. Like you could feel like, you know, that feeling of you having THC or something, and you're thinking deeper, more, or even psychedelics for that matter. It can dabble into that, but it's nothing going to be like extreme. It's mostly going to chill you out, just add an extra level to things, and yeah, can make you think a little deeper as well too. So it's a great one that's getting really popular. That I figured the community would be most interested in and knows very well. Obviously, some of the other ones are kava and kratom. They're like legal plants that you feel stuff off of, but I feel blue lotus might be like the next in line after that. And I feel like kava and kratom are so like I do enjoy them here and there, but they're those ones are known. Everyone's doing it and infusing, and you go to any smoke shop or kava bar or gas station, you're gonna find those items. Whereas the blue lotus is more unique, and I kind of like to cultivate to something like that. So. But yeah, we do it in the vapes, the gummies, loose leaf tea, and stuff like that. It's very nice. We're working with the manufacturer now to start producing drinks. So Blue Lotus drinks and Blue Lotus Kana. So I mean, it'll be really nice. So that'll be a nicer way to just chill with some friends and have a drink and not have to do whatever gummy and stuff. So, but yeah, all exciting stuff. And oh, you go ahead and then sorry.
No, I just want to know, like, what
Yeah,
is your dose regimen for these things? Like, if you've got this, let's see, how many milligrams is in here? Right, 1,000 milligrams here of the canna extract that I have in this nasal infusion spray. What kind of dose are you dealing with? We talked a little bit about like how much you might do, like 10 to 30 milligrams, but
yeah.
like, is this something that
Oh,
people
gotcha.
are advised to do on a daily basis, a
Yes.
weekly, or what's best practices there?
So that's another reason why I like Kana is it's not something that really has the only risk with Kana is mixing it with SSRIs. So if you're on like antidepressants or something, you don't want to mix it together because it's already working on serotonin. It could create complications. But as far as that, there really is no like people don't report withdrawals. They don't report like addiction. That it's something you could take as needed. So I throughout the day might some days I go a few days without it. Some days I might take it like 2 to 4 times a day. Depends what type of day I'm having. How productive I want to be. Or last year I went to Izu and I took a large dose of it. And you feel fine. Afterwards and yeah, it's something you could take as much as needed. It would be really the answer to that. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, everybody's going to be different, obviously. And again, I'm a start low, go slow kind of guy when it comes to adding a new supplement or a new herbal remedy, if you will. And so the next in line is going to be these gummies. So let's talk a little bit about the gummies, right? You've got first off, you've got canna as nasal spray, as gummies, and as a vape. And those are different extracts, which you just touched on briefly.
Yeah.
But what are some of the maybe differences between if you were going to take the nasal spray or have a gummy with canna?
Oh, so the gummy is gonna be good, but like I said, oral kana for me, it can be enjoyable. But it provides more of that like caffeinated mood boost. So the gummy's perfect for work. When you need nootropic energy. The nasal spray might be like I'm hanging out with some friends. Like if you have the double strength. If you have the regular, you could still use it as in like nootropic energy and getting your day going. But yeah, as far as like I said, the nasal goes, I would say that the double strength would definitely be like a little more party energy. The gummies a little bit more day to day, getting some energy throughout, whatever. Just some pick me up during your work hours and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, what got you into being a purveyor of alkaloid containing plants? And Canna comes all the way from South Africa. You just mentioned the blue lotus, right? Which I believe is endemic over in Egypt or maybe even
Yeah,
India
yeah.
or Eurasia, depending on where you are. But all of a sudden now in the United States and Europe, et cetera, like all of these compounds and molecules are pretty ubiquitously available. So, what drew you into wanting to establish the entheogenic emporium?
I really have, from a young age, been just obsessed